with my dog, sitting on the windowsill, watching birds and possibly watching the neighbors angrily. And I just filmed a video for my other channel, just finished filming it, and I decided to go live because I felt like I just wanted to continue talking. I don't really know what else to do, to be honest. I got a nice day, I got some nice lighting, just me and my dog, and just felt like talking. So this is basically what I talked about in the video. I focused specifically on gun violence, but it bleeds into a deeper discussion, I think, of are people only doing something about issues that affect them? And I think there is a common problem of people think, like, if something doesn't affect them, then it's not a real issue. It's so easy to ignore things that are going on in other people's lives and to only focus on your own life. But the truth is that we're all connected. We're all the same. And you can't really, you don't want to be walking by someone getting bullied and just continue walking. You would stop and try to help the person because no one deserves to be attacked. No one deserves to be bullied and picked on. But there are a lot of people who will just walk by. And, I think that's a more obvious example of when it would be wrong because we hear it so often in that context, like anti-bullying campaigns at schools and, people try really hard to stop that specific kind of thing. Often we hear about it as kids in school. So why is it that when we become adults, we not only don't do anything about bullying, we often become bullies ourselves and behave extremely childishly and immaturely. And it's very obvious when you actually pay attention to the behavior. But I think the problem is that people don't pay attention to things anymore. They're just kind of meandering throughout the day, just trying to get from A to B. And the problem with that is that you don't even know where you're going at that point. You don't even know why you're going to B from A. All you know is that you don't want to have to think, you don't want to have to work. But when you try to stop working, when you try to relax, life comes knocking at the door and telling you that you need to be doing something. You can't just sit around and do nothing. So people prefer to just do what the government and systems has set up to say that they can consider work. But that's not, in my opinion, what the universe considers work. I don't think that, what the government tells you, regardless of where you live, I think it's pretty bad in the US, but I think it's an issue everywhere, is that there is a difference between what benefits a human versus what is actually right for you on your own path as a spiritual being having a human experience. I think it's a matter of ego versus, I don't know, truth. So, I see someone has tuned in, although they're probably just going to tune right back out anyway, because people come in and out all the time. Nobody comments or says anything. So I'm just treating this like a video anyway. But for, oh, see, now it says 0. I was right. I was just going to let them know what I already told you guys, which is that my dog is there. But you already know that because you are watching the replay. So anyway, I know this was an unscheduled live, unplanned as well, at a weird time of day, but I just like the lighting so much. So anyway, people go through in a meandering fashion throughout the day because of this. They want to just say, oh, well, my boss is going to provide me a paycheck. I'm going to get money to afford to live, and therefore that must be work. But the truth is that you can be working tirelessly, at a job that maybe isn't really doing anything good for the environment or for the world or for you, really. Maybe you're being treated like shit there. Maybe your paycheck is awful. There could be all sorts of things that are horrible about that job, but you are still working tirelessly for it. You are putting all and then some of your energy into it, and yet you still feel unfulfilled. It almost perfectly resembles the feeling of just sitting around doing nothing all day. And that is why, you can't depend on these human invented systems to support you, because humans are idiots. We don't know what we're doing. And we need to actually have some type of connection to a higher purpose, a higher power, and not just think that things are random and meaningless. Because if you sit around doing nothing all day, something is going to come knock at your door and say, hey, this isn't acceptable. You're basically, living in an apartment that you're not paying rent for. The landlord's going to come knocking at the door. You're, I don't know, you're not doing any work. Oh, please don't bark, Daisy. Honey. Ow! My fucking ears. Yes, neighbors have dogs and they walk them sometimes. Other dogs exist. This isn't news. Yeah, you scare him off. You tell him, Daisy. She's not even listening to me. She's like in her own world right now. Daisy! Shut up! Please. Thank you. Oh my god. Huh, who was that? She's got a huge voice box for how tiny she is. She is like this tiny little thing, and she screams. I can't even call that a bark because her voice is so shrill, and the barks are so like elongated. It doesn't just go ruff. It's like a wow, 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 wow. I mean, she wasn't doing it just then, but she holds her barks a long time. So it's a scream as far as I'm concerned. I mean, even that almost was like a scream, even though it was, shorter barks, but still. Another school bus? Driving down the same street? Like an hour apart? What is that about? I don't think it's been an hour. Maybe a half hour. Half hour, 45 minutes. Yeah, weird. Anyway, there's a reason I normally do live streams and videos and shit when everyone is asleep. Because even when I'm home alone, as long as my dog is here, something's gonna go off. That's the problem. Doing shit in the middle of the day, there's just shit going on, Distractions pulling you left and right. So I tend to do these videos alone in my room, but the problem with that is the lighting is shit. The daylight looks so much better. It is incredibly better with sunlight than with, the light from my ceiling. It looks like shit by comparison, I think. And, it's also not fun to do videos in my room because I stand. I prefer to sit. It's fun to sit and just have a discussion, isn't it? That's why I'm at a table right now. My dog has finally shut up. All right. So where was I? What was I talking about? Let's see. I bet they didn't even notify any of my subscribers that I was going live. YouTube hates me. They don't tell my subscribers that I'm live. They hide likes and comments and views. I don't know if it's what I'm saying. maybe they don't like me because I'm too honest. Wouldn't be surprised, honestly. But nevertheless, I will always try to speak the truth. I don't really have anything to lose anyway. She's watching these birds intently. Why do doves make that sound? They go, ooh, 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 ooh. Every time it's the same sound. Doesn't matter where you are. I was in Florida and I heard them. Everywhere around the world, doves just know to make that exact sound. Where do they learn that? Where does that come from? These are the kinds of things it surprises me more people don't think about. How do animals just know what to do? And doesn't it also make you wonder, how many things do we do that no one actually had to teach us? How many things do we do that we've just always been doing and we would have done anyway, regardless of whether or not someone had taught us? I think we just assume that everything we do, we learn from someone else, but that's not necessarily true. There is this underlying knowledge, and I guess you could call it intuition, that's within everybody, and it overrides logic, it overrides anything, but it does have logic. It's not completely without logic. It's not at all without logic. It's just that your logic is limited by your knowledge, it's limited by your fears, and it's not objective truth. So when you ask the universe for an answer to a question, and I'll give you an example. I was just watching a video about psychic attacks and how to protect yourself. And what I found interesting was she gave an example of someone who had attacked her, and she really wasn't feeling it, but someone told her, this lady's bragging about these attacks she's sending your way. Are you feeling anything? She goes, not really. But then she went home and she sat with her guides and she asked Spirit, she said, what should I do? Should I, is this my battle to fight? Should I step in and protect myself? Or is the universe going to take care of it? Is this a situation where I need to back away and it's not my karma and just let the universe handle it? So, she asked, and they said, Spirit said, this is for you. I think you need to handle this on your own. You need to take care of this person. So she did a reversal and decided to send back what this woman was sending to her. And all of a sudden that woman's hair was falling out and she was in the hospital and, all sorts of things like that. Because she didn't send extra, she didn't pack an extra punch or a little fuck you middle finger. She just sent back exactly what was being sent to her. And that's what happened to that woman. So, that I think is perfectly reasonable. I think if someone tries to punch you and their fist bounces off your face and hits them, they deserved that. Because sure, they're in pain, but they just tried to punch you. So it's the same thing. You go to throw acid in someone's face, and then all of a sudden you get acid in your face. I don't know, it somehow splashes back and lands on you. It's the same thing. No one's gonna feel bad for you. No one is gonna say, oh, you poor thing, because you just tried to do it to someone else. You don't deserve sympathy. What you deserve is to know how it feels to have done to yourself what you're willing to do to others. And, I think that regarding the gun issue that I was talking about in my video that I filmed before this live stream, I think people who are in favor of guns need to know how it feels to have a friend or family member get shot in just going to the grocery store. I hope every crazy gun lunatic goes to the store just to get their groceries for the week and just some random asshole just walks in there with an AR-15 and blows them away. That's what I hope happens. Because these people deserve to die. They deserve to get shot. Because they don't seem to think there's anything wrong with that. So, fine. I'll show you how there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure you'll still think that when you're lying there dying because you were just trying to go shopping and someone shot you. I'm sure you'll really be in support of everyone having access to guns. Because it's a right. Yeah. You may have even brought a gun with you because you believe more guns makes it safer. You could have a gun in your pocket or your purse or whatever, and you're going to think that if someone tries to shoot you, you'll be able to defend yourself. But what if you're in an aisle and all of a sudden you're just focused on what you're buying? Someone is just standing at the end of the aisle pointing a gun at you and they blow you away. You don't even have time to react, let alone pull out a gun and aim it at them. So, yeah, more guns does not make things safer. You're just dead. And that's what I hope happens to every fucking gun lunatic. That is what they deserve. Because that's literally what they're asking for. And they don't even realize it. Maybe that's what needs to happen for them to realize it. And you might think, oh, but then they'd be dead. What does it matter? No, I believe in reincarnation. I believe we take that into us in the next life. And I think that person will reincarnate with a little more empathy. Because especially the way we die, I think that is something that we take with us to the next life, depending on if it's important, and something like that for sure, you would remember that, and you might have a specific aversion to guns and not even know why, because you were shot in your past life. That's why. So that's what I believe. You don't have to believe that. You don't have to do anything. I'm just talking, and no one's listening because I've been live for 16 minutes. No one's tuned in. No one's said a thing. I've been talking to myself and anyone who watches the replay. Thank you, by the way, for that. So, yeah, let's get back on track because I've jumped around from topic to topic. The reason that I mentioned the story of, sending energy back is because she had to ask, is this for me? Or should I back out of this and let the universe take care of it? And they said, this is for you. But what I think, I would take it a step further and say, why is this for me? What makes this situation different from a situation that you would take care of? You, the universe, spirit, whatever. And that is an interesting thing. People need to be willing to ask why. Don't just say, oh, okay, I'll take your word for it. That is a safe option because the universe is never going to lie to you, but it's even safer to get an understanding of it too. So when you say, okay, but what makes this different from those situations? How can I maybe help in the future decide for myself so I don't always have to ask you? Because if I understand what about this situation makes it for me to handle versus for you to handle, then I'll know more. And you can never know too much. So I would ask why too. Don't just take Spirit's answer, ask them why. It's the same logic we need to apply to religion. Like when God tells you that being gay is wrong, say why. You need to be able to explain this to me. And I have yet to hear a sufficient explanation. No one's explained it at all. So, the only arguments that I hear are that it says so in the Bible. And, I don't think without religion, anyone would have ever decided that it was wrong. I think that that's the root of everyone's hatred for it. I think even if people have a non-religious reason, I think historically it was rooted in religion. People who have an aversion to it, that aversion would not be there, regardless of whether or not they're aware of it, if it had not been stated in religious texts in the past. So, I think it's rooted in shame and self-judgment. I think it's very possible that whoever came up with that had some personal shit going on and they just projected it, because men are weird and men are very shameful and unwilling to face true things about themselves, which is a shame, but it's a reality. And I think there are a lot of things to blame for that, but part of it is just culture, part of it is just DNA, but I think that is the reason that it was even made into a thing in the first place. Some things I can't even imagine why anyone would come up with it. But the problem is that people just believe it. They just say, oh, okay, you're going to tell me to do this crazy thing? I'll just do it. I saw a post that said, atheism is doing what is right, regardless of what you are told. And religion is doing what you are told, regardless of what is right. That kind of sums it up right there. So there isn't a lot of thought that goes into this. We just kind of do things and say, okay, I guess that is what it is. And there's so much fear too. It's like, oh, but these people are going to take over the world. It's an agenda. Don't believe anything they have to say. believe my religion and believe all of this propaganda, but don't believe that everything everyone else says is a lie. Stay away from this type of person and this type of person, anyone who's basically contradicting me, right? That's what a narcissist will try to do. Don't believe anyone who tells you I'm wrong or I'm lying, because they want to be the only person that you trust and listen to. Very fucking manipulative, isn't it? So don't buy into it. Don't think of any specific type of person or people like me as trying to promote an agenda or propaganda or anything manipulative. What I'm doing is I'm sharing my thoughts. I'm telling you the truth, and it is liberating to you. It's not going to make you think in a fear-based way. I'm not telling you to worship me or do what I say. I'm trying to give you knowledge so that you can make an educated decision about what you want to do in your life. And I want you to have the freedom to do that. So that's how you can tell the difference between something that is manipulative and dark versus something that's more high vibrational and truthful. So keep an eye out for that. And that's, again, with the logic thing. Like, there will be logic when you say, why is this for me to handle? There will be an answer, and it will make sense, and it'll help you get a better understanding of why things work the way they do and what you're doing. Why is it my responsibility to protect myself from this person? Because, you're not here to be a doormat. You're not here to enable people to be manipulative. And that person needed to learn that when you send an attack someone's way, they have the right to defend themselves. They can punch you back. You go to punch them in the face, they can punch you in the face. And how do you like it? Doesn't feel good, does it? So that's what I think sometimes people need to learn. And it does depend on the situation. It depends a lot on that person's karma. Sometimes it may be specific. They'd say, well, what is the difference between this situation and a situation where the universe is going to handle it? It may have a lot to do with what that person needs to learn in that moment. It may be very specific and situational, but there is an answer nonetheless. It's not just that you have to take their word for it. But that doesn't mean, alternatively, that you can never take their word for it by understanding it, because there are going to be there's an exception to every rule. You're not going to learn enough that you can just know exactly what to do in every situation without checking in with spirit. But spirit will still have an explanation for you. So it's just, learning to balance. I hope I'm making sense. I know I'm kind of going all over the place. But the question in the title, does politics matter? I was trying to think, do politics matter or does politics matter? But apparently both are correct depending on what you're trying to say. And in this context, does politics matter is exactly what I was trying to say. So, yeah, I got into a little argument with somebody the other day who was trying to tell me that he doesn't think politics really matters because he just wants to focus on his family and doesn't want to have political discussions, doesn't want to watch the news, doesn't want to be aware of anything that's going on in the world, because he just thinks, oh, the government is so corrupt, it doesn't matter who we vote for or what we do because we're not going to be able to fix anything anyway. Basically the mentality of, I'm just one vote, what difference does it make? I want to be clear, I get that. I really do. I understand the feeling that things are fucked and there's nothing you can do about it. But what I want you to do is I want you to realize that as long as we're here, as long as we're alive, you are never going to benefit from just giving up and saying, oh, well, I guess I'll just focus on my family. It's not like there's a nuke falling from the sky and you got to go be with your family in your final moments. We are not at that point yet. There are things that you can do. There are people that you can help. And that's what you have to keep in mind is like, there could be someone out there whose life would be completely turned around by your willingness to participate in putting a little bit of good into the world, putting a little bit of hope into the world. And instead, you're just choosing to shelter yourself from it. Well, what are you going to do when it comes knocking at your door? What are you going to do when you're not allowed to hide from it anymore? Let's say you're living in a world that is trying to take away your houses, and you just want to pretend that's not happening and hide in your house. Well, what's going to happen when your house disappears? What's going to happen when they try to kick you out? You're going to have to pay attention to it eventually. And, maybe if you had been paying attention to it the whole time and fighting the good fight, against it, maybe at that point, you could have actually done something about it. Maybe you would rack up some good karmic debt with the universe, and then you'd get some payout for that. Maybe just by putting the effort and energy into it, you would have been in a better situation. Hiding from life is never the solution to anything, but I do understand the appeal. I get it because there are times when I even find myself thinking that way. It's easier to just do what you're doing, go through your daily routines, and not ask myself, am I about to give money to some corrupt business that's supporting some horrible thing? Maybe that would be easier for you to make that decision if you knew someone who was directly affected by that horrible thing, whatever it may be. I'll give Chick-fil-A as an example. The CEO, I guess, donates to and funds like conversion therapy, which is, I think, torture. From what I've seen regarding conversion therapy, it is completely inhumane and evil. I think it's evil, and it is something I would never want to subject anyone to. It is sick, disgusting, demented, and like astonishingly cruel. The things that they put people through and tell people, honey, what are you doing? Do you need me to pick you up? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you going at an angle? Honey, come here. Let me put you on the chair. Easy. Come here. Come over to the chair. You can come up here. Baby. Do you have to go outside? Are you hot? She looks hot. I'll be right back. Well, don't just yell. I'm back temporarily. Gonna have to let her in a minute, but just to wrap up what I was saying. You know, there are situations where you're not going to be able to ignore it. So I was talking about Chick-fil-A, conversion therapy. Let's say that you had been sent to conversion therapy at some point in your past and you recovered from it, or you have a friend who recovered from it, and then you went to basically indirectly give money to someone who is, you know, trying to make that happen. What if you found out that the place that you were sent to was funded by that guy? I mean, good Lord, like, how could you possibly eat there without getting sick? Wouldn't it make you sick just to think about that? And I'll give you another example. Let me check on the dog real quick. What are you doing? Are you coming in or staying out? What's happening? She doesn't seem interested in coming back in. Anyway, I'll give you another example. Let's say she's barking. What a little asshole. I gotta go break right. I can't have her screaming at the neighbors. I'm not giving you anything because you didn't do anything. You just stood there and let the wind blow through your hair and then you barked. You only get a treat if you pee or poop. You did neither. I've been letting her out, and I don't think she's done that once today that I'm aware of. And I haven't found any pee or poop in the house, but I'm pretty sure every time I've let her out today, she's just gone out and sniffed around and turned around. I haven't seen her pee. I haven't seen her poop. I don't know what's up with that, because it's been hours. And I've let her out like 4 or 5 times, and she just hasn't done anything. It's the weirdest thing. I even fed her dinner, and she went out, and she didn't even go out. I opened the door, and she sniffed out and didn't even go out. So that's unusual for her. I don't know if she's constipated or something, but it's weird. I'm probably going to step and pee in the house at some point. I've been with her most of this time, and I didn't see her do anything. It doesn't matter. It's just weird. But now she's sitting there again, perched on the windowsill. Anyway, I'll give you another example. Let's talk about Palestine, right? This is a very serious issue, and it's something that I don't really talk about too much on this channel, but it is something that I am disgusted by, because there are so many people acting like it isn't what it is. There are so many people trying to say that despite the fact, I mean, I know that you may want to, it's messy to really get into the details of it, the conflict between Israel and Palestine, to actually go through the history of what happened. You know, if you want to dive into that, it's a lot more complicated, and depending on where you're getting your information, you might be leaning a lot more toward one side than the other. But what I think is objectively true is that no one deserves to die, and what's happening is just objectively a genocide. It's people getting killed with no way to defend themselves, with the intention of wiping out the population. People have said, "Oh, we're just getting revenge on the people who attacked Israel on my birthday, October 7th." And it's like, no, it's gone like way, way beyond that. The majority of people dying have not done a goddamn thing. And again, people try to make arguments like, "Oh, well, you know, those people have, like, I don't know, a religion that wouldn't condone the way that you live." And it's like, well, I'm sure you could say the same thing about Israel. That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't mean that they deserve to die. People are bending out of their way. And again, with the gun issue, people going out of their way to say that people who are dying deserve to die because we can't stop this genocide from happening. We can't have any laws to make guns safer. And I just found out someone who I had been following on Snapchat, who I didn't really know, just someone that was, you know, in my, like, followed their public profile. He started posting about guns and started posting about Israel and Palestine. And I was like, what in the actual fuck? I didn't know he thought this way. I kind of didn't want to know that, you know, because it's like, how do you ever look at this person the same way again? And he just had karma knock on his door. He was taking drugs and he, I don't know, OD'd or something. He had some kind of issue, and ultimately the police came into his house and took all his guns and his drugs and, you know, whatever it was. It was some kind of, like, dangerous drug. I don't even remember the name of it, but whatever it was, I think he kind of had it coming. I don't know a ton about his situation or his past, but what I know is that what happened to him is what he should have known would have happened given what he was choosing to do. It's just like, if you drink poison, you're gonna feel sick. That's kind of all that it is. It's like, I don't know if he was abused in his childhood, but does that mean that he should drink poison and not feel sick? Like, if you've made the decision to put a glass of poison up to your mouth, I don't care about your past or your history or your psychology or whatever's going on in your personal life. When you decide deliberately to drink poison, you deserve to be poisoned. That's it. Like, it's not like he didn't know what it was. It's not like he was unaware of what he was doing or the decisions he was making. He knew the drugs were illegal. He knew they were dangerous. He knew the guns were dangerous. And I don't know why the police took his guns. I really don't. But I just saw that on his story like a half hour ago, or probably an hour ago by now. And that's what kind of got me upset. I was like, well, what the fuck did you expect? Maybe he had them illegally or something. I don't fucking know. But I'm sure he's gonna blame, you know, a conspiracy theory and think people are trying to take his guns away, that kind of mentality. I'm sure that's where he'll go with it. But nevertheless, I want to get back on track. I think... Sorry, something was under something and it was driving me nuts. I had to pull it out. I know something I'd like to pull out. I apologize. I have to do that. My grandpa, I turned him into a character. I imitate his voice and I make him say creepy things like that. It's kind of like That's What She Said. My version of that. I just couldn't help it doing it there. Pull out something. I mean, people who know me would honestly be waiting to hear it if I didn't say it. They'd be like, something's missing here. And when I'm not around, they'll just hear my voice. And I feel like I've done my job then. It's like, cool, I'm in your head even if I'm not there. You know there's something missing when I'm not there to make a creepy comment. So that's my way of I think brightening people's days a little bit, because even though it may make people uncomfortable, I think it's the good kind of uncomfortable. I think people need to be a little uncomfortable every now and then, because people try too hard to escape and avoid reality, which is kind of what I'm talking about in this video, is, you know, just wanting to hide from life and, I don't know, get addicted to habits and cycles and whatever it is you're doing. Um, it's easier to hide. And I think people need to learn how to be comfortable getting uncomfortable, because the truth is, life is uncomfortable. You have to learn how to deal with it and work with it instead of hiding from it. So there are uncomfortable thoughts, uncomfortable situations, and you can't control what other people do or say. And I love reminding people of that. It's so fun to just remind people that they have no control over me. And you just, you know, it's so fun to see them get angry and lose their minds when I am not doing anything wrong. I'm not hurting them. I'm just exercising my free will. I'm not attacking them. I'm not going out of my way to harm them. I'm just being myself, and they happen to be nearby and they don't like it. And I love that, because fuck them for not liking it. It's, again, it's like you're drinking that poison, man. If you're gonna be pissed off, like it's like what Kesha said in her song Shadow. It's all about get your shadow out of my sunshine, get your darkness out of my damn way. I'm dancing in the rain. I'm gonna love you even if you hate me. Those are some of the lyrics. And in the bridge, she says, I'll just keep on doing what I do best, pissing off people who want to be pissed. And it's as simple as that. You're pissing off people who want to be pissed. So go ahead. That's their problem. And it is a really empowering feeling to feel free, to know that you deserve to do what you want, even if other people want to control you and don't like it. So I love making people uncomfortable. I think it's fun. I find it entertaining. Anyway, so what was I talking about? It would help if I had someone here who could remind me, but there are 0 comments. No one is watching. I am convinced, because we're 37 minutes in, that YouTube didn't even notify my subscribers. I have 20,000 subscribers, 25,000, 26,000. It's a high amount. And nobody's watching? Really? Fuck YouTube. Fuck it. So rude. So rude. I don't even know, like, what is the point of this? Do you not want content creators to grow? I am pretty active on both of my channels. I do live streams weekly on this channel. I do weekly videos and live streams on my other channel. And they're of substance. They're mostly just talking. It's not like I vlog, but I don't have to do that. There are channels that are just like this. It's just people talking. That's okay. It doesn't have to be a variety of different types of content. Why should it? It's just ridiculous. And they're so strict about what you're allowed to talk about. It's so weird. I don't understand why YouTube tries to fuck me over. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen the view count of who's watching go up to 1 and then go right back down to 0. It bothers me so much to think that people are tuning in for a couple seconds and then choosing to leave. And it bothers me even more that I have to wonder if it's even really happening, because YouTube lies about who's watching. It'll say there's no one watching when there's someone watching, and vice versa. It'll say there's people watching when there's certainly no one here. I just can't trust YouTube. And I don't know that I could trust any other platform anyway. Instagram, I just hopped into somebody's live the other day, and I was commenting, and he couldn't see any comments from anybody. But people were commenting. He couldn't see a thing. He ended the live, went live again, still couldn't see anything. So what is that? Why is that? I don't get it. I don't trust these platforms. They're not on your side. But they're all I have. It's my window to the world. It's how I can communicate with you guys. And you know, I have to use it because it's where people are, you know? I can't just invent my own YouTube, because like the whole point would be to attract attention, and no one would see it because people use YouTube, people use all these other social media platforms That's where, you don't walk into an abandoned building and start preaching. You walk into a crowded room, is what I'm saying. So I have no choice. Even if they try to throw me out, nowhere else to go. So yeah, 40 minutes in, not sure if this is anything interesting anyway. Yeah, so, I was talking about Palestine and Israel, right? I think to suggest Daisy, shut up, Daisy, honey, shut up. Your voice is so horribly loud. You are hurting my ears. Shut up. Daisy, shut up. Please, for the love of God. What are you looking at? Oh, it's those fucking dogs on their way back. Sit down. Sit down and shut up, okay? Yeah. You okay? You okay, hon? It's okay. I know it's frustrating that other things exist in the world, but just shut up. They can probably hear you. I can hear you from outside when you bark. Yeah, they're gone. You can't see them anymore, can you? Thank God for that. Holy fucking shit. Unrelenting. Screaming. I mean, it is just screaming at this point. Is there any comments? Not a single one. Jesus Christ. All right. So we were talking about the idea, let's say, hypothetically, you are one of those people who is defending Israel and saying that the people in Palestine deserve to die the same way that you would say that people who, act like guns are dangerous, you don't care that they're dying. Children are dying, adults are dying, people just constantly, mass shootings, and you don't care. You don't care about the mass shootings, you don't care about the genocide in Palestine, and you find ways to justify it. Think of how sick that is, first of all, that you're justifying death in any context. And second of all, think about what you might do if you knew someone who was affected by it. What if you were friends with someone who had died in Palestine or from a gun? What if, your kid died in school because there's no gun regulations? What if you were one of those people? No one thinks that. No one thinks it could happen to me. What if you just by coincidence happened to have been born in Palestine? Born in the wrong place? What if you were born into a family that was obsessed with guns and you just ended up one day accidentally shooting yourself because they tried to teach you how to use guns and you just, you were a little kid and you didn't know what you were doing and you just accidentally shot yourself? Like, that also I'm sure has happened because they are so fucking powerful. People who needs that much power in a weapon? What is that for besides killing? That was another argument that I heard somebody make, is that guns, you can't make guns illegal because what are you going to do, make knives illegal? Okay, but knives have other uses, don't they? You use a knife to cut your food, you use a knife for a lot of things. What is a gun used for? Murder. That's it. killing animals, killing humans, that's the only use a gun has. And you could say, oh, well, you know what, you could use guns to defend people by threatening to kill them. That's how you're doing it. You're saying, I'm using this to protect someone, and you're doing it by threatening to kill the perpetrator. Would you rather have a weapon or a shield? Shield does the same thing. It protects people. A gun kills people. There's a difference. Okay? So there's a little bit of flawed logic here, and these people are so passionate about it, and yet they clearly don't have any emotional attachment to it because they don't know anyone who's died. They have never been hospitalized from it. They don't actually have any personal reasons. And if they do, they are fucking thick. I mean, they are incredibly stupid if they have things happen to them directly and they're still that stubborn. I mean, that is just completely insane. But I'm sure those people exist too, but they are not the majority. I think the majority of people who find it so easy to dismiss this situation are not affected by it, and that's the problem. There are people sitting at home doing nothing, not watching the news, not paying attention, and they are actively supporting these things without even realizing it because they're not doing any fucking research. Back in the day, we didn't have internet access. It's understandable. If you grew up in the 80s or something, you know, you didn't have access to learn everything that's going on in the world. You have no excuse nowadays. You really don't. You can't just pretend that these things aren't happening. And you have to do your research. And I'm not saying that you have to completely change the way you live your life, but at least have a consciousness of it. At least put a little forethought into your decisions. Maybe you go to a company every day that is funding I don't know, a genocide like what's happening in Palestine, because there's some fucking deals going on involving Israel. There are people profiting off of this, and maybe you are supporting those companies unwittingly. Maybe you don't have to completely boycott them, but could you at least, I don't know, be aware of it and maybe just think about it before you buy from them? Maybe just have that as a conscious thought to do it less or something. Try. And if everyone did that, it would make a huge difference. That's all you have to do. Just put a little extra effort into it. Stop dismissing it as, oh, well, that's not doable, so I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to care. You wouldn't be saying that if you actually were affected by it. Believe me. So, yeah, it's sad. I think people who don't care about politics, it's a privilege to ignore it, because it means that whatever's going on isn't in the world isn't directly affecting you. How lucky are you then? I mean, fucking Christ. I mean, how frustrated would you be if you were living an absolute shitty nightmare of a situation and someone who was totally fine and could actually maybe afford to help you out was just doing nothing? And it's not, they can't just say, you know, this is something people like to say is, oh, well, but I worked for what I have and I earned it, and those poor people, they deserve it. You don't know that. Systems are not designed to help people. In fact, in the US specifically, there are a lot of people who are working tirelessly, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and getting nothing in return because they're working for a system that tries to fuck them over. They're not working with the universe, they're not working with a higher vibration, and if they were, they would be working for other people, to help other people, to make the world a better place, to put light and healing into the world, and to heal themselves. And they, you know, to learn and grow and evolve. They wouldn't just be stuck in a cycle, you know, supporting a business that's like, I don't know, polluting the earth and continuing to just make more and more and more of the same stupid shit that no one needs just because, you know, and make different versions of it. It's so wasteful. It's so damaging, and it's really sad that you know, we have to be yapped to all the time about how this stuff just doesn't matter and oh, whatever. It's like, no, it does, and it would matter to you if you were affected by it, and you are going to be affected by it, because I think that's what people are going to have to learn the hard way, is that these aren't issues that are possible to ignore forever. Eventually, you're going to have to pay attention to it, and you're going to wish you were paying attention sooner. You're really going to. It's going to be sad when you wake up and you're like, oh shit, this is bad. And it does affect everyone. And there is something that can be done. You don't just have to give up and say, well, I guess we're fucked. If that's really what you believe, why haven't you killed yourself? You're here. There's something to be here for. Other people. There are still good people in the world. There are people who are trying to make things right, who genuinely have good hearts. They're around. They're worth fighting for and fighting with. And you don't want to box them out and exclude them just because you've given up. It's sad. And it happens all the time. And I don't judge people for it, but I am disappointed in them. I'm not judging them as much as I'm just saying that that's a shame, you know. But it's your prerogative. I'm not gonna not be friends with you. I'm not gonna think of you as a bad person, but I feel bad for you because I know what it's like to develop that mentality and try to hide from life. It's not healthy. It feels so much better to be aware of what's going on in the world and to be passionate about doing something about it because you believe that there is something to be done. It's not just a losing battle. I think things are starting to change, starting to turn around, and people are starting to realize the power that they actually have. So there is something that can be done, and there's no point in hiding from the news. Pay attention to what's going on. Learn about the corruption. You need to be willing to do this because you could be anyone. You could be many people. There could be a lot of people thinking the same way you do. And if you change the way you think, a lot of other people could change the way they think. And that's when change happens. That's when you notice a difference. This is historically true. We made changes in the past because everyone changed their minds. These situations not only can be fought, but will be fought because there is a balance to things. And, they say no good deed goes unpunished. I get where that comes from, kind of a cynical joke, but the truth is that nothing goes unpunished. Nothing goes unnoticed by the universe. And if you are ignoring these problems, you're just going to be part of the solution when the universe comes in to write things out. And I'm not talking about like, oh, Jesus Christ is gonna come back and save the day. I'm not saying that it's gonna look like that, but I am saying that things are starting to shift and change. And it's sort of the same way that when you build something on an unstable foundation, it will eventually crumble. And what I'm saying to you is you want to get out of that building before that happens. And you want to not only get out of the building, but you want to make sure that you're getting other people out of the building too. You know? Warn people that it's collapsing. So that's what I'm saying, because then you'll be alone. Or maybe other people because you didn't help them. Here's a perfect analogy. Because you didn't help other people to get out of the building, when you decide to get out of the building, there are going to be a lot of people in your way, maybe trying to stop you, maybe tripping you, and maybe you don't make it out in time and you get crushed. So you have to acknowledge that other people are important, other people matter, and your decisions matter. Your role in things matters. So we do have a collapsing system because the people in power are corrupt. They are doing a lot of shady shit behind the scenes, and a lot of it is coming into light and being exposed. And when you actually hear the specific stories and the specific things that are going on, it's not just generalized as, oh, corruption, this, corruption, that. When you actually hear what's going on, it makes it real. And I can confirm it is worlds away from having the general idea that things are corrupt versus actually seeing proof of exactly what the corruption looks like and what's going on. It makes a huge difference, and it gets you really riled up, or at least it should. And it makes you want to do something about it because it makes it so much more real. It's like, oh shit, this is not just a mentality I have. This is fucking reality. This is happening, and it's really that bad. And when you realize something is that bad, karma's going to come in, and those wrongs are going to be righted, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of history when that happens, is essentially what I was saying with the building argument. So that's what I'm saying, basically. So just be mindful. Try to be aware of what's going on. It has been saying that I have 2 people tuned in. Is that true? Are there people listening to me right now, or is YouTube lying to me again? Because I'm going to end this. I've been live for an hour, and I've gotten 0 comments, 0 interaction. I've been talking to myself this whole time, which is kind of sad. But I did it anyway. So in conclusion, I think politics matters, and you should be paying attention to what's going on in the world, and not just your country, but just everywhere in the world. Keep an eye out on where you're getting your information. I would recommend Ivy Rivera's Late Night Circus episodes. She only has 3, but that is a great news source because she has journalistic integrity and she really covers a lot that you might not hear about elsewhere. So she has 3 episodes called Late Night Circus on her channel. Her channel is called Ask Ivy, just YouTube at Ask Ivy. And if you go to her live streams, you'll see 3 videos called Late Night Circus. Watch all 3 of those. They're incredibly interesting and engaging. And that's really all I have to say. I also recommend watching her video about women's empowerment because that just really wakes you up, I think, to how bad that is. You know, the whole issue of sexism, especially in the US, it's awful. And people don't talk about it enough. People are just acting like this shit isn't going on. Okay, it is the same 2 fucking dogs that someone keeps walking up and down my goddamn street. You know, if I'm being totally honest, I'm on my dog's side right now. Okay, that's enough. Let's not do that. Shut up. I'm on Daisy's side with this at this point because this same person has been walking the same 2 dogs up and down my street back and forth now. What the fuck are they doing? Go to a different street. Give your dog some different scenery. Don't just go back and forth past my goddamn house. 3 times now they've walked past my house. And 3 times I've had to hear my dog go apeshit, and it's annoying as hell. What are they doing? Yeah, I don't know, Daisy. She looks at me like, what are they doing, Tristan? I don't fucking know. Oh my god. Alright, well, she stopped, thankfully. So I'm gonna end the live stream. I'm sorry that she barked 3 separate times in the last hour. Jesus, chill out. She's like, she gets so intense. Calm down, honey. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I'm guessing no one was here live because I didn't get any comments, even though I asked you guys to comment. So even though it says 1 person is here, that must be a lie. Or maybe they're just, for some reason, unable to leave comments. I'm going to wait 10 seconds because it takes... there's a 10-second delay for YouTube. Like, I watched my video and it's 10 seconds behind the actual live stream, so... Anybody? Am I talking to myself? It would seem so. All right, well, for those of you that watched the replay, thank you for sticking with me for this long, for a whole hour. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for indulging all of the barking and the fact that it was live and I couldn't edit anything out. All that nonsense. I appreciate it. And have a great day. By the way, this is not a replacement for the live stream that I'm doing on Sunday. That's still going to happen. This is just a spontaneous live because I felt like it. Okay? And I'll see you on Sunday. If you want to check out my other channel, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow night at 8. I might bring back, if I can get my old setup, I might bring back psychic readings. I'm not sure. But I did enjoy doing Psychic Sundays.